Good afternoon. I'm happy to once again be with you and have a chance to share some of the important truths and realities of the Christian faith. Uh, we all know how we're wearing down now that we're about 9 or 10 months into COVID. I know in the Montreal area, we've been under essentially a lockdown for a good part of that time, with some opening. Anyway, I just sense, not only in myself, I see in Nancy, I see in others, a tiredness, a fatigue, and it's going to take perseverance, obviously, to push through to the end. And as I was just thinking and praying about a passage to share with our French church, in my daily reading, I came upon a passage that Paul wrote to his protege, Timothy, just before Paul's death, physical death. And and I thought to myself, if anybody knows anything about perseverance, if anybody knows anything about facing trials, and if anyone knows anything about wear and tear, it's got to be the Apostle Paul, who spent over 30 years uh, traveling throughout the Mediterranean world, obviously speaking to both Jews and non Jews about the reality of Jesus Christ and Jesus as Messiah, as the Savior. And he went through some extremely tough times, and many times was worn down, many times discouraged. And we see him in this second letter to Timothy in chapter 4, writing and saying that he is just about to be put to death. He's in a Roman prison, and he knows very soon he will die. And he writes in Second Timothy chapter 4, verse 6, he says, "As for me, my life has already been poured out as an offering to God. The time of my death is near." So he's very aware. And it's a very colorful expression where he says, "The time of my death is near." Turns out that in the Greek language, he's using an expression that was used when a boat or a ship was casting off from the quay, from the dock, right? The ropes were attached, it was holding the boat. And then it was time for the boat to leave. At that time, it would have been at high tide. The boat is now leaving, and the ropes are thrown onto the boat, and off they go, literally, as we say in English, into the sunset. And this is exactly what Paul says when he says, "The time of my death has come." He pictures himself as literally going off into the sunset. And then he looks back on his life. And obviously, what an appropriate time to look back, just before his physical death. He looks back on his life and he uses three expressions, very short, to describe how he's lived. Here they are. First, he says, "I have fought the good fight." I have fought the good fight. I think anyone that's beyond the age of 25 or 30 knows that in many respects, life is a battle. And I guess the important thing is to be involved in the good fight, the good battle, the battle that's worth fighting. And it seems to me that Jesus himself, in teaching us what we call the Lord's Prayer, at the very start, really tells us what the good fight is. Jesus says, "Pray, our Father who art in heaven, holy is your name. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven." And I think Paul was saying, "I've fought the good fight. I have fought for that reality, the coming, the breaking into this world of the reign of God, the governing of God." And that's what he has been working for, Paul, his whole life, the 30 years of his ministry. And obviously, a key element of that is loving God and loving people as ourselves. A key element of that is overcoming evil with good. Paul writes about that in Romans 12. Right now, as I'm talking to you, the sun is coming out. Take that as you may. And so I fought the good fight. I put my time and effort in life into the good fight. Secondly, he says, I have finished my course. And that word in the Greek language has to do with the Olympic Games and the Greek games like track and field and wrestling, etc. That course that they have to run, and they have to run according to rules. And obviously they train and they run to win the prize. And Paul writes, I have finished the course. You know, in so many studies of religious leaders and even beyond political leaders, any type of leaders, unfortunately, what has been found is though many start well, they start with enthusiasm, they start with integrity, they don't finish well. When a person lives 60, 70, 80 years, let's face it, it is difficult to finish well, not to be disqualified, not to lose perspective. And we have one life course, but we have all these subsets going on. If we're married, we have our marriage. If we're parents, we have a relationship with children. We work, so we have a relationship with co-workers. We have our role as a citizen in the world. And it's so easy to tire out. It's so easy to get worn down. It's so easy to get off course and not finish well. Not finish well. And what I can underline here, and I see it as fundamental, we need others. There are no lone rangers in life. And even that term, and many of us are old enough to remember the Lone Ranger show on television, but he wasn't alone. He had a teammate, Tonto. So even the term Lone Ranger is an inaccurate term for him. Folks, we need partners. We need teammates. We need colleagues. We need it in the Christian life to finish well, and we need it in life in general. And in fact, obviously, fundamentally, that's what a spouse is. First and foremost, a teammate. Children grow into adults and they become teammates in life. Colleagues at work. No one makes it alone. And let's never think we can, because we won't be able to finish the race that is set before us. And then lastly, Paul says, I've kept the faith. I stayed faithful. Primarily, I see this as not I've accomplished so many things, but I've stayed faithful to my basic, fundamental relationship to Jesus Christ. My wife Nancy often says, if that fundamental relationship isn't what it motivates us in this world, we will eventually get off track. We can't be motivated by primarily a love for our job, or even a love for our spouse, or a love for our children, a love for some dream that I'm after chasing, a love to retire and be able to relax. All of these things can be positive and should be positive, but fundamentally for the Christian, it's that continual return to face with Christ and say, I'm I'm focused on you. I'm in relationship with you because you called me first. I love you because you love me first. That's fundamental. It's not me cranking up. It's I loved you because you love me first. And that fundamental uh, relationship will keep us till the end. Will keep us till the end. My son and daughter-in-law sang a great song at several different weddings. He will hold us fast, F-A-S-T. He'll hold us. He'll keep us. And let's allow him to do that. And so Paul says that's how you live. That's how you really live. You fight the good fight. You you finish the course that you've been given. My course is not Paul's course. It's not your course. You have a course. I have a course that I'm called to finish. And let's keep the faith. And Paul says, I'm ready to physically die because I'm going to live afterwards. You know, the first thing that happens after we physically die is we're more alive than ever. So many times when we say, oh, so and so died, it sounds so final. It sounds so complete. It's not. It's the start of a whole new life. So Paul, as a Christian, says, I'm going to physically die, but it's opening up a new life for me. Jesus Christ is going to reward me for this life, and I'm going to be with him, and he's going to open a whole new life for eternity. So may that encourage us during a time when maybe we're wearing down, tiring out, there's some wear and tear. Let's push through.